Part 2. The Thanksgiving Warning. Uncle Eddie's Redemption. 2 years after the divorce, I was at another Thanksgiving. I didn't know if Uncle Eddie would be there. I didn't ask, no. But he was older now, still immaculately dressed, but with the softness that comes with age. He was sitting alone on the back porch, which was unusual. Eddie usually commanded a room. I joined him. "I remember what you told me," I said, "in this house years ago." He nodded slowly. "It all came true, exactly as you described it." I continued. "Every game, every pattern. And I recognized them because you taught me how." He didn't say anything, but I also ignored them later. I said, because things were good, and I thought good would protect me from bad. It didn't. I still got hurt. Eddie looked at me for a long moment. "The advice doesn't prevent pain," he said quietly. "It prevents blindness. You saw what was happening. You knew it was wrong. That's more than most men get." He paused. "I've been called a lot of things in this family, but I learned these lessons the hard way. I failed at them multiple times before I understood them. And maybe the only valuable thing I have to offer is to save someone else the cost of that failure." He lit a cigarette. "Your marriage ending wasn't a failure because you recognized the patterns. Your marriage was a failure because she refused to break them. That's her responsibility, not yours." "How do you live with that?" I asked. "Knowing what you know about people, how do you keep hoping?" "You don't hope in people," he said. "You hope in yourself. You hope that you stay alert. Hope that the next time you recognize the games faster. Hope that you value yourself more than you value the idea of being in a relationship." He looked at me. "And sometimes," he said, "redemption comes from the unexpected places, from the people your family dismisses, from the lessons that have to be learned through failure and pain." I understood then why my mother had insisted I spend time with Eddie. It wasn't about condoning his past. It wasn't about saying his failures were okay. It was about recognizing that wisdom isn't always packaged in respectable forms, that the person everyone dismisses might have learned something valuable precisely because they were willing to fail so publicly. Uncle Eddie had been a cautionary tale, but he'd converted his cautionary tale into instruction. He'd looked at his own damage and decided to spare someone else the cost. That's a kind of redemption that doesn't get talked about much. Not redemption that makes you respectable or admired, but redemption that makes you useful, that turns your failures into someone else's prevention. "Thank you," I said, and I meant it. Not just for the advice, which had literally saved my sanity during that marriage and the years after, but for being willing to say the hard things that nobody wanted to hear. For standing in a kitchen and methodically explaining the games instead of letting me learn them through the same catastrophic failure he'd already endured. For choosing, after everything, to be the person who warned instead of the person who enabled. I'm remarried now to someone who knows the games because I explained them to her early. Someone who respects boundaries, who communicates, who doesn't test me constantly. She's not perfect. Neither am I, but we both came in with our eyes open, okay? And we both chose to keep them open. I still think about Uncle Eddie sometimes. I still think about that Thanksgiving. The way he took his own damaged life and turned it into a map for someone else. Not every story ends with the damaged person getting redeemed in the eyes of the family. Not every story ends with him becoming respectable or approved. But some stories end with him saving someone you love from making the same mistakes. And maybe that's the best redemption any of us get. The chance to turn our pain into purpose, our failures into wisdom, our damage into direction. Uncle Eddie never asked for forgiveness from the family. He just gave me a warning, okay? And that warning, that patient, methodical, brutal explanation of the games women play and how to recognize them protected me in ways that all the love in the world could untave. Because sometimes what we need isn't comfort. Sometimes what we need is someone who's been broken and rebuilt, who understands the architecture of damage, who can point it out before it collapses your entire foundation. Sometimes what we need is Uncle Eddie, the one nobody liked, the one everyone needed to listen to, the one who proved that redemption doesn't always look like what we expect. Just looks like a man in a burgundy silk shirt sitting in his sister's kitchen, taking the time to teach someone he barely knew how to protect themselves. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's everything. If you like the story, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more informative stories filled with love and lessons.